My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
And I'm Christina. And I have got a situation for you. I would like to get your opinions on what you would do if you found yourself in this situation.
Okay.
So this person says, me and my girlfriends, they're 27 and 26, have been together for about a year, though we still live apart. 2 weeks ago, I received a phone call asking if I was trying to use my credit card about 200 miles away.
No.
I immediately said no and to lock my credit card. They did and told me they would reissue a new card. Last week, I noticed an automatic payment I have tied to my card went through. I thought that was weird, so I called my credit card company. They said there was no sign of fraud on my account. I thought about it a bit more, and my girlfriend has family in the city where they blocked the transaction. I checked my credit report, and there it was, a credit card I've never seen before.
No.
My name is on it, but the address is my girlfriend's house.
No.
When I talked to her about it, she said she's never seen it and knows nothing about it. Yesterday, I was able to call the credit card company and get a list of charges. Almost all of them are places she frequents: hair salon, restaurant, coffee shop, supermarket, everything. She came over last night and I called her on it and showed her the list of charges. It adds up to more than $4,000.
No.
She still denied everything. I told her it wouldn't be hard to get surveillance footage of the person using the card, especially at the supermarkets, and she absolutely went off on me. She called me controlling, jealous, and an awful person. She left and texted me to call her when I've decided to grow up.
Okay, so that's projection.
Yeah.
Because if you really had nothing to do with it, you would want him to get to the bottom of it.
Absolutely.
I would. I'd be like, oh, absolutely. Like, you know, because most likely if it's from the town that you're from, if they're using your address, I would, and it's not me doing it, I would be like, I 100% want to know who's doing this, because it's probably someone connected to me.
Yeah.
I want to know. So
$4,000?
yes. And she's absolutely guilty.
Oh, of course
there's
she is.
no way she's not, because you do not respond that way.
No, this
100%.
is bullshit.
Well, so there's an update. He decides to break up with her. He puts all of her stuff into a big into a box and has it shipped to her house. He changes the access code on his security system and door locks.
Smart.
And calls her, says, I'm sending you all your things. We're through. She said I was making a horrible mistake, then apologized, then said we can work through it.
Can we?
Hung up and block her. He drives to the sheriff's department. He's like crying. He's really shook up about this.
You were in a relationship for a year. I'm sure there's love there.
Yeah. Once I got there, the deputy was super polite and said it happens more than you'd think. Took a report. The next day, pounding at the door. It's the ex. She's demanding to talk through the door. I told her to leave. She refuses. 5 minutes straight, pounding on the door, getting violent, kicking the door, yelling obscenities.
Terrifying.
No.
He calls 911. Deputy comes and basically like trespasses her from the property, and he hasn't heard from her since. But the reason why I brought this up was because of the deputy saying this happens more than you think.
No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to be alone forever.
I hear you. I hear you. But
Because-
check your credit report often.
Legit. Like, I can't. He was with her for a year.
That is so fraudulent. Like for me, so I'm very, like in my youth, I might have been irresponsible with funds and that kind of thing. Stretched a dollar to make things happen. Maybe paid an electric bill late or two in my time.
Absolutely.
Haven't we all?
Maybe one time I got a TJ Maxx card. Spent $500 and never paid it. I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
You're like, I don't know.
However, However, grown-up me is very much like pay everything. Like everything's auto pay, everything's budgeted, everything's like set, and like financial irresponsibility gives me like a huge ick. But this goes beyond irresponsibility. This is fucking fraud.
Yep.
It's fraud. Yeah.
It is a huge breach of trust. It is theft, thievery, 1000%.
How could you even think of doing? Never in my life has it ever occurred to me to open a credit card in someone else's name. Never.
God.
What about those parents that do it to their fucking kids?
That happened
Have
to
you
my
heard?
dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because my dad was a junior, so
that's
he had
right,
the
you
exact
told us.
same name as his father, and that's why my dad legally changed his last name, because having the same name as his dad destroyed his credit by the time he was like in his mid-20s.
Jesus.
He was buying cars like with my dad's name and all kinds of things. It's horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, you were literally, because of the way that our society runs, you know, and like how much bad credit can prohibit you from being able to do anything.
Right.
From buying a house to, you know, buying a car, like getting anywhere. It's so, to me, and the fact that you laid your head next to him at night, like, and racked up $4,000 of his money.
I don't even have $4,000 on my own credit card. Like I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I just think it's sociopath behavior where you're just like, what do you think's going to happen? He's going to find out eventually.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Deny.
Yeah.
And try to use those like narcissistic tactics where you turn it on the other person.
Actually,
which
this
is
is your
exactly what she
fault.
did. Yeah.
Well,
Horrible.
it's kind of the same thing we were talking about before we started recording about that chick face that was married to the ghost hunter dude. That's deny texts that she wrote to that hitman, basically like plotting murder.
No, people who have the ability, because that apple cider vinegar woman too, the Belle Gibson as well. It's just like, guys, there's proof. Like continuing to deny it whenever you're faced with like the cold hard facts. Like
it is
even
the MAGA
people who
way.
You have them. Even people you have them on like voice recordings sometimes. Like you watch those Datelines and they're
like,
playing back conversations you have had, and you're like, I don't recall, or,
I don't
or whatever.
Like
recall.
fake news.
What are you in the
What?
fucking? What are you in Congress? I don't recall.
I don't recall.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never, I feel like if you're going to lie, like, be smart, lie better.
Lie better. Yeah. But no, my
Or don't, and
conscience
just keep getting
is set
caught.
up in a way that I feel guilty about shit I absolutely shouldn't feel guilty about in my life. You know what I mean? Like I feel guilty about hurting people's feelings even when hurting their feelings was necessary.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So there is no way that I could live with myself faking to someone's face that way, you know, while doing them dirty like that. It's like the Tainted Love that I told last episode, where I'm just like, how could this guy for a year like be in a relationship with this person, know that it's not real for you, but it is very, very, very real for the other person, and like their emotions are tied up in it, their future is tied up in it, like all of that stuff. It's like outside of the financial impact or whatever it is, the emotional impact, the time it takes to recover, like emotionally, spiritually, mentally from that kind of deception is real. Like you're giving them baggage. You're fucking up their life. Okay.
Yeah. You're giving them credit card debt, decreasing their credit score. You know, that shit is real. Eric and I have a competition going right now on higher credit score. And it's amazing. I love it. Like, I can't even imagine like being with somebody that was hiding, even like hiding debt or whatever, like those kind of secret, like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. The things are hard enough out there right now. I think that if you're in a relationship, it should be the one place that you feel safe or you feel...
Yeah. You know, along those lines, we all know how I feel about pranks. So,
I hate a prank.
right. So April Fool's, not for me. It's not the holiday for me.
Isn't
so
it the chuggiest thing ever? Like people that do chuggy, like April Fool's joke. I'm just like,
are we over it? So over it, dude.
Could we not? Yet truly, like, I'm just like, why do we need a day for this? Like, life is hard enough. I'm tired. But I did see on a Reddit, I saw like a girl saying that she was pranked, quote unquote, by, I think it was like an am I overreacting or something like that. And it's always like, no. It's always people who it's like, obviously, no, you're not. No. Like, it's you being treated the worst a human being has ever been treated before. And then you're like, am I overreacting? No. So she said that on April 1st, her boyfriend like came to her, like sat her down, tears in his eyes, was like, I need to tell you something. Like, this is really hard for me to say. So she's like, she's being very serious. Like, it's okay. Like holding his hand, you know, trying to comfort and soothe him. And he tells her that he cheated on her with his friend's girlfriend. And she'd been cheated on in the past.
Oh.
She had told him that she doesn't like pranks, like all this stuff.
No.
She's like, I need time to myself all day. He let her believe this. She calls the friend and is just like, did you know that like your girlfriend and my boyfriend like cheated with each other? And the friend says, oh no, he didn't do that. Did he? Like, he didn't really do that. I told him not to.
What
because
a fucking...
And all
dick.
day he let her believe this. And then she goes into the backyard that evening and he's got like an April Fool's, like a big dinner, big spread, candles, all romantic and shit. And she's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
No.
And so she's like, I'm not doing this. She broke up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was just a joke. It was just a prank. It was funny. Blah, 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 blah.
funny.
Jokes are funny.
That's not funny.
This isn't funny. No. And if you've ever been cheated on before, and you know that feeling, it is so fucking visceral and so awful. It's the nausea. It's the heat in your face. It's such an awful feeling. That moment when you're like, oh, I've been betrayed. It's
with someone you know too. And then, you know, and so she was also saying, like, I don't know how to handle this because we share a friend group and I don't want to make them take sides. She's really young.
Honey,
I think she was like 21 or whatever.
Yeah, who cares?
I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
And if they're not, then, you know, listen. And when breakups happen, sometimes something we don't talk about enough is like, you might lose friends. Like that is just kind of the way that it goes sometimes. Like you might lose friends. It's not going to be the same after the breakup. It never is.
No.
But she was saying that his friend and the girlfriend were on her side because the girlfriend didn't consent to be part of this.
No.
She's like, I didn't like agree for you to use my name and say that we were cheating. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, even that guy basically being like, I told him not to do that, you know, like, oh my goodness. You know, pranks are mean spirited. You're tricking somebody and you're provoking an emotional response.
It's cruel.
Like, here's the thing. Here's something funny that could be, I guess, construed as a prank. Eric running through the door going search warrant. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah.
Like startling or being like, boo, boo, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it's also, it's like...
It's temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
One little like moment and then, he recovered from it. It's fine.
You're not emotionally manipulating me.
Yeah.
Right. Like what he did wasn't a prank. You're absolutely right. It was like, it was cruelty. It was like deliberate emotional manipulation. And the fact that he can't see that is actually very scary.
Yeah. That's
And the
the
fact
problem.
that he let her spend all day, like when he saw how upset and how distressed she was, even if he had it was dumb of him to do it at all.
Right.
But as soon as he saw that she was legitimately upset, prank over.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Then you say, oh my gosh, oh no. Like, I'm joking. Like, this was a joke. I was meant to be funny. Sorry, I'm so stupid. You know, like that's what you do.
That's right. You don't let it go all fucking day.
And
And
to
then
know
Then
her
act like all
past.
shoulders, like you don't know why she's mad. Like,
The divorce came out of nowhere. Oh, did it?
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I don't know what I did.
Oh, I don't have a clue. What could I have
She's crazy.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
overreacting.
yeah.
Okay.
Because you know he's going to reframe that story to be like, yeah, I played an April Fool's Day joke on her.
and then
she
I
broke
did
up
this
with me.
elaborate dinner and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. Yeah, exactly. Ugh. Oh my God.
Yikes.
I don't miss dating at all.
No.
Nightmare.
Honestly.
People are a nightmare.
People are
And that's
a
why we
nightmare.
have this podcast.
Golly.
I know. No
Fuck.
shortage of material. That's for sure.
Truly,
We're going on
truly.
year 7 now.
Yeah.
And
That's insane.
yeah, it keeps coming.
Yeah.
So I know last week we did character actress.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should do character actors.
Character
this week.
actors.
Yes.
Okay.
There are so many of them. Now, for the listeners, we are recording ahead of time. So I have not watched Tell Me You Love Me. If you listened to last week, expect a delayed update on that information, but it will be a coming. So,
I
yeah.
completely trust and believe that you will deliver on that.
I need a text immediately as soon
Yes.
as you find this.
It's going in the group text for
Oh my
sure.
God.
Yeah. I'm
I already
definitely
know who I
going to
wanna
live
do.
react. Who are you doing?
I'm going to do John C Reilly.
Great.
Aww.
Love it.
I love him. He's super
Gosh,
funny. I'm
this
going to look up his sign so that we don't have to do this later.
Okay. Who do I want to do? I think I'm going to do J.K. Simmons.
I love this. I love J.K.
Wow.
I do too. He kind of scares me just a tiny bit. Maybe it's because I saw Whiplash. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's so endearing as the dad in Juno. And I really feel like he can almost do anything, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got to go with Turturro.
Got to.
Okay.
I knew you were going to, which is why I didn't. Okay.
Yeah. So underrated. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Yeah, and he's just hit after hit forever. You know?
Truly.
So-
he was in Do the Right Thing too, wasn't he?
Yes.
It's been ages since I've seen him do the right
yeah, I'm
thing.
pretty sure
I think-
he's in
yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly is a Gemini.
John C. Reilly is a Gemini.
We're
Okay,
going to
JK.
Scorpio and a Cancer again.
No. J.K. Simmons is a Capricorn.
Oh.
And I believe that.
Unbelievable. Believable.
He gives good Capricorn energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
okay,
this.
and Turturro, it looks like, is a God. When you look up astrology, it's like, okay, he's a Pisces.
Oh.
He's a February Pisces, February
Okay.
28th.
You know what? He has a
Okay.
gentleness about him that I buy as a Pisces. Okay. A Pisces, a Gemini, and a Capricorn. So we've got
I like
earth,
this one.
air, and water. Yeah. Ooh, I like this too.
This is tough.
You know, it is actually tough because I swore I would never date a Pisces again. But John Turturro has such good energy. Doesn't he? Like
He
I feel like
does.
he's got good chill partner energy.
Did you see there was like a TikTok or a clip of him walking some fashion show? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think he's so, and there is like a weird quirkiness about him. Like I wouldn't say off the cuff that he's handsome, but there's like a
he's got
weird,
something.
quirky attractiveness, about him that I love.
Him on the Zynga runway is, it's yes.
I haven't
It's
seen it.
giving
Okay.
yes. Yeah,
It's
you
giving
have to
yes.
look it up.
I
It
just
is
looked it up, but I'm like,
so hot. I was like,
Ooh.
oh, see,
Shit.
right?
He's been with his spouse since 1985, and I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah. I see being able to wear sweats and him giving amazing foot rubs.
Yeah.
Oh
And,
yeah, definitely.
I see him being able to make like the greatest pasta primavera of all time. I see him like with his apron on in the kitchen, just chopping vegetable. Like I see a whole life with John Turturro. I really do.
Yeah, he's got the most domestic vibe.
Yes.
I think of the three.
Like a comfy, but also like well stocked, it's just a nice, cozy, wonderful vibe.
Yeah.
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 I think I know what I'm going to do.
Okay,
But he
you
can
go,
still
Okay.
dress up and go out on the town and just fucking slay.
Yeah, he looks good in a suit. He's got that physique I like, where he's like tall and skinny, but like it's in a well-tailored suit. It's like looks good.
Yeah.
I'm going to marry J.K. Simmons.
I knew you were, because he's a Capricorn, and those are good for you. They're
It's
stable.
great for me. I
Yes.
do love the stability. I love somebody who's earthy and grounded, and I can be silly and them not take it too seriously.
He can be snarky. Yeah, exactly. He's got a snarkiness about
Yep.
him.
Yeah.
Is he a December or a January Capricorn?
Let's find out. He is a January. He's on the cusp. His birthday is January 21st.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay.
So, like last day of Capricorn.
Yikes. All right. I mean, I see it. No, I see it. I see it though. But I'm still sticking with it because because he does have that bit of energy to him too, like heading into Aquarius energy, which I see. But I'm sticking with it. I like J.K. Simmons. He seems like somebody who would, you know what? We're just
Gonna
gonna
take
like
care of business.
fucking bed rot this weekend, but then on Monday, let's get shit together. Like, let's get this place cleaned up, and you know what I mean. Like, I feel like he's got a little bit of both in him. You know what I mean? Like, he could be flexible, but also too, like, he means business when he means business. Like, there's no questions, and I think that's what I like about Capricorn. There's not a lot of like wishy-washiness, which I fucking hate.
No, there's not. Yeah.
And so, like, I like somebody who I can read immediately and know exactly where I stand. And I think J.K. Simmons is going to offer that.
Yes, I agree.
I am going to fuck John Turturro because, I mean, he just seems like a good time. And he's a Pisces, and we know Pisces can fuck.
I think that John Turturro would be the kind of person in the sack that is able to maintain an extremely slow pace to the point where you lose your fucking mind. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like,
Yes, I do.
tension builds so much. Like, I see him with such control.
That's a good orgasm. Like when it finally happens. Very good.
You, right?
You see,
He also
fireworks.
has that like third leg physique. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
when there's
Yes, he
that,
does.
like,
Leg physique.
you know,
That's the
Well,
name of this episode.
no, you gotta
Leg
stop doing
physique.
this to me. I feel like the names of the episodes have started becoming like more and more like vulgar.
I like it, though. I like
Leave
it.
a little mystery.
I like
Dude,
it.
you guys, I saw a TikTok with a man who must have been no younger than 68 years old and is an old man, and he is pointing out his garden. And I showed it to Eric, and he's like, why are you showing this to me? Or whatever. It's just some old man talking about his garden. When I tell you the comment section, I opened it
Why
up
didn't
and
you
someone
send it to
said,
us,
someone
Christina?
said, what in God's green girth is happening?
Oh my god!
Because it had a shadow. It had a fucking shadow.
Stop. Stop. Was he a hot 68-year-old?
Someone's like, that's why grandma's in a wheelchair.
Babe.
I swear to God. Sometimes I just send you shit because the comments are so fucking off the
TikTok
rails.
comment sections are so fucking. I'm sending it to you right now.
Please, like,
I'm sending it to you right fucking meow. Because you will die. I was laughing so hard at the comments, and this poor, I swear to God, he's like 68 years old. just talking
like
about his garden.
It's like
showing you the garden. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Too
Well, John
much.
C Reilly I'm going to be friends with because I can absolutely see it. But here's the reason I didn't marry the Gemini this time. He's giving chaotic Gemini.
It's a little chaos. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do, and for better or worse, because I don't know how this is gonna go. Like I said, I've dated a Pisces before. It didn't go well. John Turturro does seem to be a little bit more focused than my past Pisces, so I'm gonna risk it because of these three. He just feels like the most.
He is giving soft life.
Variable. Yeah, soft life. For me, like, I'm gonna fuck J.K. Simmons because there is an aggressiveness.
Yes,
there is like a strong energy in him that like I find hot.
I think that he would be very comfortable degrading me in the way that I asked.
That I want to. Yes, exactly. Precisely. Yeah. It's not going to take too much prodding. You're not going to have to like babe. You're going to only have to ask once to be choked. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
You're not going to have to like prod him into it. He's ready to commit right away.
He came in with a hand necklace already.
Yeah. And he's like, whatever you want, I'm here for you. But he would respect your boundaries, but he's just like, if you ask, I will deliver, you know? Yep. And I appreciate that about him. So I think that's going to be a real good experience for me. And then, I'm going to friend John C. Reilly. I think he would just be a little too much for me every day. Like some days I need to just like chill. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's not much of a chiller. So I think that would be difficult, but I think going out with him would be really fun. Mm-hmm. I think going to karaoke with him would be really fun.
The best.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good like person to have at the dinner party.
Oh he's gonna keep that convo going. Mm-hmm. Yes, and he's gonna be he's the one friend who like if you're having a party and you've got like multiple different groups from like different walks of life, you bring a John C. Reilly into that mix. Mm-hmm. He's gonna make everybody feel comfortable.
Yeah. He's a cocktail stir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, good one.
I'm gonna do the same thing as you, Keegan. Like 100%. That is perfection. Did you guys see it? I sent it over.
Oh God,
to you.
no. Okay, hold on.
Look. Right. You had to look right now.
Oh baby. Man. Oh man.
Honey.
You can see
it.
Why? Oh,
honey.
He's uncomfortable. Like that.
Honey.
You know, this poor man, he's had to live his whole life with a dick that big.
Dude, I know. Honey. It really is third leg physique.
Somebody come in the very first comment. Good more straight to the comments.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. Miracle Grow. Miracles.
I trust this man knows about filling holes.
Oh no. Condolences to Mama.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
But do you think that like this poor guy he's probably had to live with that his whole life.
Yes.
Just like, you know.
Poor guy with his big
I know. No, I've broken up with somebody because they were too big.
It's true.
Yeah.
I kept getting UTIs. No, I'm serious. I'm not being funny. He was so big. Every time we slept together, I would get a UTI.
It's like women who have like really large, beautiful breasts.
Yeah.
And like everybody's just like, oh, you're so blessed to have like big boobs. And in like, meanwhile, they have crazy back problems and all they want is a breast reduction.
Yeah.
You know? So like... I feel you. Well, I don't because I've never been bigger than like a B cup, but
no, but yeah. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, yeah. There we go. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Mm-hmm. And we're back. Okay, Cass.
Okay, so I'll kick us off with stories. This story I found is precious, and it is clearly a throwback story. My dad's 1959 Chrysler Imperial is the main character here. It was the pinnacle of obscene excess in the era of huge fins and new prosperity. I was a 17-year-old student in the minor seminary, dating forbidden, which added excitement to my first outing with a girl, any girl. Lynn was the daughter of my parents' best friend. Dad let me take the Imperial. The date plan was to ride around in the amazing red car. I picked up Lynn, who was wearing short shorts. We stopped by Dairy Queen and got malts. I mean, this is
so old school date.
Classic.
You know,
it's a classic of malts. Lynn balanced both our malts on her knee for a moment so that I could concentrate on getting back on the road. So you should need to know, like, this car is a monster, right? Like, these things are fucking huge. It's an Imperial.
It's like the size of Baltimore.
Exactly. So now you also have to know that the Imperial had a push button transmission. You had to put your foot on the brake, select the button, and voila, motion. I was distracted. I didn't put my foot on the brake. I just punched D, and the gorgeous car lurched like a bronco, spilling both malts onto Lynn's bare thighs. Lynn screamed. I slammed on the brakes. The remaining liquid now covered her knees. She cried shit in an era when few girls did. I found rags in the trunk. She cleaned up, sort of, and we tossed the empty paper cups. The ride back was quiet for about 5 minutes. Lynn broke the silence. David, I think you're just going to have to go through with this priest thing.
David.
Lynn lives in Patagonia now with a huge cattle ranch and her second husband. We haven't seen each other in over 50 years, but I'll bet she still remembers the Imperial and the malts.
Oh, that's cute.
That's adorable.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah. Aww.
Like, given the bad dates we've told on this podcast, that is the most wholesome I've ever heard.
It's cute. It's so sweet. I was like, I have to read
accidentally
it.
smelled the malts. Oh my God. Well, mine is not as wholesome.
Oh.
Okay. She says, I've been single for a couple of years and was finally feeling like I had my life together enough to look for my next Mr. Right. To increase my chances of finding this rare specimen, I joined several dating sites.
Brave.
You know, casting a wide net. Plenty of Fish is responsible for this story.
Of course it is.
This fellow's profile listed him as a 6-foot-tall animal lover, highly successful and responsible, while also possessed of a childlike whimsy that could charm the coldest of hearts.
Look,
know.
This
Swipe
is another
left.
thing where I'm just like, if you've ever been, I don't know, well, for pretty much a lot of jobs, you have to write a bio. And it's the worst thing in the world.
Yes.
Like, nobody likes writing a bio.
No.
Right? Like, I can't imagine having to talk about myself on a dating app. You know, because who's writing that about themselves?
It's always
like,
awkward. It's
I have
always
a childlike
awkward.
whimsy that melts the coldest of hearts or fucking whatever. Oh my God.
Well, he didn't say anything like that, but I appreciate the fact that he was taller than me and had a job. Yeah. I mean, those are two in the
bar
W
is in
column
hell.
for sure. His few pictures look good to me, so I was in. We had chatted for a few days online, but not wanting to waste time with pointless message exchanges if there was no chemistry, I began suggesting a brief in-person meeting to ensure that we could stand to be in the same room for any length of time.
Smart.
I got the sense from his replies that he would have preferred to continue messaging forever and never meet, which should have sent me packing, but my ability to misread situations is unparalleled.
Well, and she hasn't been dating in a while,
Right.
you know.
It turned out we lived in the same neighborhood. We met at a nearby bar for a drink. Now, I'm a tall woman. I do not judge anyone based on their height. I do, however, judge those who lie about their height. I'm 5'11", and this gentleman who claimed to be 6 feet tall was several inches shorter than me.
Why do you do it? Why do you do it?
I had arrived first and was seated at a table. When I stood to shake his hand, I was treated with a clear view of the top of his balding head. Still feeling game, I was willing to set the small fib aside. After all, doesn't everybody sometimes feel inadequate and try to make up for it in silly ways, like adding a few inches to your height? I resolved to not mention it and give him a fair chance. He launched into conversation immediately, telling me in great detail about his day at work. He worked as a house painter. He painted interior walls of houses. His boss had brought beers to the site for everyone that day because the work on this house was now complete. He glibly apologized for already having consumed several beers.
Oh, sir.
I laughed this off. I like to have a good time too. Work beers? That's a cool boss. Good for you for finding a job with such cool perks.
Oh man, I see myself in this person.
Yeah.
I do. Like, as much as I could judge,
Always look on the bright
right?
side of life.
I can make an excuse for most things. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing if my boss brought beers into work. I probably, like,
Yeah, yay, work beers.
good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, he told me he declined an invitation to a wine festival that day in order to meet me. He was glad, though, because at events like that, he always got super drunk and lost control. I didn't ask for specifics on what he meant by lost control. My patience levels beginning to drop. This guy had painted himself as Mr. Steady Reliable in his profile. We're both in our late 30s, and I'm not looking to meet yet another party animal. At this point, I mentally assessed the situation. My drink was half gone, and my date had not yet asked me a single question, but he had done all the talking. I resolved that if the situation hadn't improved by the time I finished my drink, I would bolt. Sometime around this point, he sighed and rolled his eyes, exasperated with life. So I have to go to court on Monday, he complained.
No.
He explained to me, with barely concealed pride, that he had recently been caught doing nearly double the speed limit on a major highway.
You're really oversharing a lot on this first date.
Super red flags. He had to go to court because he had amassed a large collection of over $1,000 of unpaid speeding tickets.
Bro.
What the fuck, dude?
My drink wasn't yet finished, but I sure was. I slapped a 10 on the table and stood up to leave, saying, "Nice meeting you, gotta go." I actually think I ran out of there. He managed to text me, "You are really weird." WEERD before I blocked him.
So the letter U, the letter R. Sir, you are 38 years old. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
38, bragging about drinking at work, bragging about losing control at wine festivals, racking up speeding
about
tickets.
Your speeding tickets.
He's a dangerous man.
I hate it.
He's a bad boy. Keegan, aren't you intrigued by this bad boy behavior? You can fix him.
Isn't it so cool? And it's so like party animal.
Boy.
I'm such a bad boy.
Gross.
Ew. These are both grossing me out. Okay. This is a high school story. Night of my junior prom, May 1999. I managed to pull some strings and get us a table at the hottest new restaurant in town. It was a massive coup. To this day, I have no idea how 17-year-old me pulled that off. Anyway, I was working at the local grocery store at the time and saved up for like a month to make this a great night for my date, who I'd cultivated a pretty good relationship with over the course of the last few months.
Oh.
Finally, the big night comes, and we head to the restaurant before the dance. Everything is great and going exactly as planned. The waiter comes, and I order a fairly decent meal, nothing too extravagant because I didn't want to look like I was showing off. He turns to her and she goes right for this $35 in 1999 money salmon fillet. Which, how much is that now? I feel like a lot.
Oh my God. Dude, I do remember 1999. If I found a 20 in my pocket, that was like a whole Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up. Okay, so $35 in 1999 worth today. Okay. 66.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he's 17.
He's 17. He's junior prom.
He's not on a six-figure salary. He used to like saving up his fucking
his grocery
tips.
store money.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking, well, that's a little presumptuous, but whatever. It's the prom. Can't blame her for living it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. We start chatting, having a great time, and finally the food comes. I dig into my chicken and it's delicious. I think to myself, wow, what a classy place.
What a classy place.
She starts on her salmon, takes 2 bites, and pushes the plate to the middle of the table. I'm done. I was like, oh, is it raw or something? No, I'm just really full. It's really good though. And then she calls for the check. I asked if she doesn't like it here or does she want something else? What's the problem? Nah, I'm just full. Oh, did you have a big lunch? No, just not hungry. This place is really nice though. The waiter asks if she wants him to wrap up the salmon, and she says, no, just toss it.
I'll take it.
Like, right?
No, let's say wrap it up. Wrap it up.
I felt like I was on some kind of hidden camera show or something. Did people actually act like this? So we went to the dance, had a lovely evening, blah, blah, blah. Never called her again after that night, but we were still kind of friends, I guess. Fast forward a year, and she comes up to me after our graduation ceremony. Hey, what happened with us? I felt like we had like a little groove on last year. I thought prom was really great. Why didn't you ever ask me out again? I told her I was just really busy with work and college applications and stuff. Oh, okay. I was afraid it was about the salmon. You seemed kind of bothered that I threw it away. Oh, that? No, I didn't care about that. Ha ha.
No, it is. It is.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck in college. You too. See you around. See you around. Kim, if you're out there, it was about the salmon. It was all about the salmon.
It was about the fucking salmon. Oh my God.
Sorry, Kim.
Sorry, Kim, dude.
And she knew it too. She's like, what could it have been? He did seem a little weird about the salmon.
Oh God.
Listen, I love that we learn those things. Wasting food is bad. Like,
I mean, it's when it's expensive like that. I feel like that's when it becomes like an issue. I mean, I'll take stuff home anyway, unless it's a thing where I'm going somewhere after, like going to the prom. Maybe it's hard to carry it to go box with you or whatever. But,
sure.
But I mean, I also was the type of kid who I never would have ordered something expensive on a menu.
Somebody else's dime. Yeah.
But
well, dude, this is the most Pisces thing that Eric does. If he doesn't like something at the restaurant and he doesn't finish it, he'll always, if there's too much left, he will box it up and take it with him because he doesn't want to hurt the restaurant's feelings.
Oh my God. That is the most Pisces thing ever.
That's freaking so cute.
That is like so Pisces coded.
He doesn't want to have a conversation about he didn't like it or what doesn't. He'll box it up, take it with him, and then
throw it away
dispose
later.
of it someplace else.
I've been there. I understand. Yeah. Just the urge to not hurt feelings is strong.
Yeah.
So strong.
Oh man.
That did remind me though, Christina, at my birthday dinner, because Christina ate like most, I mean, we'd been eating and stuff, but you ate like most of your chicken piccata. But then you didn't finish it, and it was like getting ready to be taken away. And my friend Jamie, who's also a Pisces, was like, no. And mind you, I don't think Jamie and Christina had a conversation.
No, because we were on opposite ends of the table.
She's like, no, I'll take that.
She did. Christina had eaten half the chicken, and Jamie was like, "I can't let that go." Like she took the other half and ate it.
That would wild me out. I'd be like, I mean, okay.
It was funny. I was like, "That's
That is
hilarious."
funny.
Because like,
listen,
I was like,
I had
That's
met
awesome.
Jamie through Time Left, and then they were sitting on opposite ends of the table, so they didn't really get to talk or anything.
Amazing.
And I was like, "That is hilarious that you're totally willing to eat this stranger's dinner."
Listen, you do you, boo.
Yep.
It didn't go to waste.
Listen.
It didn't go to waste.
Listen,
So,
I wish I
great.
had that kind of energy that I would feel bold enough to do something like that, because I think that
It was.
there's probably-
I was impressed. Actually,
Listen.
I was like, I gotta know who this woman is.
You'll
because
like her. Yeah.
That
yeah,
is
yeah.
that is an energy that mad respect.
yeah,
She was like, yeah,
it's
that's
giving.
chicken
I'll be honest.
in this economy.
And she's like, no, ma'am. It's giving a bit of Gen Z energy, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked
she's
it.
on the cusp. She's a millennial, but
Yeah.
she's younger than me. She just turned 30.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
she's
I loved
right
it.
there on that edge. Awesome.
Oh well, you guys want to take 5 and then come back with the Tainted Love?
Sounds good.
Yes.
And we're back, and I have the Tainted Love for us this week. I am doing a story that we will have a lot to talk about. Multiple things. First and foremost, I want to give a content warning up the top. This has a lot of domestic violence, and even a little bit of sexual violence, which I won't talk too much about, but I just kind of want to give the content warning ahead. I got a lot of this information from a sex and murder episode from a show that's on Max that I had never even seen before, but I was like, oh, let's check this out. 48 Hours did an episode years ago about this that I found on YouTube. And then Texas Monthly had an amazing article by the very own Skip
I
Hollandsworth.
love Skip Hollandsworth.
We all love
Yep.
Skip.
Who doesn't? His article is incredible on this. The name of the article is actually called 193. 193 is just the name of the article.
I actually almost did this for my last Tainted Love. I read that article and I almost did it. This is a wild story.
So what 193 refers to is the amount of stab wounds that Jeff Wright
God damn.
received by Susan Wright.
Wow.
This was the coroner estimated 193. He stopped at 193. And this is so he couldn't tell whether some of the wounds were dual or so this
How
is
do
an
you
estimate.
stab somebody 193 fucking times?
Yeah. I'm glad I started there because I want us to have there's so much discussion about this.
There really is a lot to discuss in terms of the details of the case, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of give you the little bit of quick rundown. Susan was 20 when she met Jeff. He was 29. Susan was working at a salon at the time and had taken a trip down to Galveston with her girlfriends. They lived in Houston and went down to Galveston for a little sun and beach time. This is where she met Jeff, 29. It's a kind of, they hit it off. This is, she's young and she's kind of like, I don't know how I feel about somebody who's 29. It's a little old for me, but he wined her, he dined her, he very much love bombed the shit out of her and, was, quite consuming of, her energy. And she was very much like, oh, maybe he's a really good guy. He seems like a really sweet.
Well, yeah, it's like, my Tainted Love last week was also a 20-year-old. And I do feel like, and me too at 20, I feel like I still had those fairy tale rom-com movie expectations, or not even expectations, but hopes. Like if that happens for you, like, oh my gosh, you know, like this is so great. It's happening. It's all finally happening or whatever.
Yes, right.
That I definitely think that would have gotten me.
Oh, of course.
At that age,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You're 20 years old. You don't have a ton of life history. You know, she grew up in, from what her sister has said about their home life, is that her father was a bit of an abusive piece of shit. Didn't have the greatest, like, you know, childhood necessarily. She was always very sweet and very gentle. And I think
It's that walking on eggshells.
yes,
Conflict avoidant. Like if somebody has a really volatile temper, you adjust your way of communicating and your way of being to just like be as small as possible and be as easygoing as possible, because you don't want to set that person off.
Yeah.
exactly.
Survival.
Full survival mode. And you're already in this kind of pretense, this kind of, you've already been kind of creating that life for yourself, that quiet life, that quietness, that smallness. She's a small person, and she kept herself very small, and very, like you said, conflict avoidant and just very quiet. She's only like 5'4", 120. This plays into some of the scenario. Jeff is this big kind of burly beast of a guy. He's like over 6'2", 220. He's like twice her size. So,
you know, that's an interesting thing, because I've like, I'm a pretty small person, and I have been like for my whole life. And I feel like some people who are like petite or small, like they want to get with like guys who are really big because they feel really protected.
Yes.
I always felt scared of that. Like I never wanted, like, not that I would discriminate based on size, but like I never sought that out as, I never thought of it as protection. I always thought like if they wanted to hurt me, it would be so easy because they're like so much bigger, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I married Short King.
Also Gentle King. Fucking Chris isn't hurting
sure.
anybody.
For sure. He is a bit of a partier, though. He'd been a partier before he met her, and it seemed like to all their friends that like his party days were past. He really, really fell for Susan. She was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Little, petite, blonde hair, blue-eyed, just cute as a button. And so after just a few months of dating, like 6 months or so of dating, when she found out she was pregnant, she was like, oh shit, maybe I should get an abortion. He was like, I don't know. He's like, I really feel like we should stay together. And then by the time she was 8 months pregnant, he proposed and they did get married. So, she's like, he's hung up his lifestyle. He's, done with the party scene. He wants to have a family. This is going to be great. But he's very like, he wants to have the happy home, happy wife, and happy life. But he wants her to be the stay at home, take care of the house, take care of the babies, don't work outside the home type of guy. He wants the traditional quote unquote family, right? So, people always kind of assumed everything was kind of groovy. Everything seemed great. They have a beautiful little boy. Not long after that, she ends up having their second child, which is a little girl. And by the time Jeff is 34 years old in the year 2003, Jeff comes home from a little boxing lesson. Look at you
with your cute little boxing.
Oh, look at your little boxing lesson. From a boxing lesson. And Susan alleges that he wanted to play box with their 4-year-old son, Bradley. Their son is 4 at this time. Jeff, again, no stranger to having issues with drugs. is seemingly cocaine fueled at this point. He has
Oh no.
Yeah, so he's coming in hot.
We're
He's-
not playing with my child if you're like riding high on cocaine.
No.
So he's quote unquote playing around and boxing with his 4-year-old and gives him a nice jab to the face. And
No,
Susan was like,
4-year-old.
absolutely not. Like, we're done with this. Whatever this is no longer going to happen. So she gets the kids settled down. She puts them to bed. And then for as much as their family knows, like suddenly, like they had a fight, and apparently Jeff just decides like, I can't put up with this anymore. I'm leaving. And so people were like, okay, I mean, yeah, maybe they fought and whatever. So, but his family especially was like, but his truck's still at the house. So that's weird. He left, but he didn't take his truck. And this goes on for a few days. And then suddenly the police get a call. Susan had called her mom and told her what happened. And Susan's mother hired an attorney for her. That attorney went to the police station and they went over to investigate. They found Jeff's body in the back of the house in a kind of like a covered sunroom type of area in a hole that had been dug up by Jeff for a fountain that was going to be put in. The body had been covered in dirt, but the dog had started to dig it up and had been chewing on his hand.
Oh my God.
So they found the body like partially mutilated by the dog digging it up. And so from that point on, this is what we know kind of are the facts, right? Like in the story. So what had happened is he was stabbed. He was stabbed multiple times, over 193 times that we know of for sure. What we don't understand is why. And the thing of it is that this, I think, became so diabolical because of the way that it was handled in court. And so the prosecuting attorney is a go-getter. Like she is a drama in the courtroom.
Yeah, she's a bit of a she's giving Nancy Grace vibes.
I was about to say, I feel like they make them like that in Texas.
Yes.
Isn't Nancy Grace also from Texas?
I mean, I wouldn't be
I'm not
surprised.
sure.
She's giving me South. Yeah.
But it is very much like I got from reading the article, Cass, that this prosecutor knew it was her time to shine and she just was doing too much.
Oh, she did plenty. She did everything. So kind of just, I wanted to like kind of lay out the facts before we laid out the story behind.
She's from Georgia. Sorry.
That I was just gonna say, she's given like Carolinas or Georgia or something. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so when they did the autopsy on the body, they do find alcohol, they find cocaine, they find GHB, small amounts of GHB in his system.
I have to ask because GHB comes up, I feel like, a lot in true crime stories. And I don't mean like giving it to other people, because obviously it's like a roofie, like
yes,
you give it to
yeah.
someone else. But people who take it recreationally,
Yes.
like that is wild to me that people want to take it as a recreational drug.
Dude, people take so many weird things for drugs, like the whole like nitrous thing. That to me is like weird.
For
so
quick
you're
head
like
rush for 5 seconds, right?
sucking on a fucking whipped cream thing.
Yeah,
Like,
couldn't be me.
I don't know. People,
Yeah, duster. Yeah, but GHB, doesn't it like wipes your memory? Like, why would you don't even remember having fun? Does it make you feel high? Like, I guess I don't know.
I don't really understand either. I do know from the articles and the shows I watched that they were saying that GHB could be done in either way. Like, so she could have given it to him so that she was able to control him because he's so much bigger than her. But he also very well could have been doing it.
Right. Because people do it recreationally. And I've never understood that.
And I will tell you, in the way that like alcohol cocaine is kind of the salve for alcohol. Like if you're too drunk, doing cocaine is like, oh, it's a good pick me up. It's going to kind of negate some of that. I hear from what I've heard from my research was that GHB can kind of do that for cocaine.
Interesting.
So maybe it's like a
bring you back down a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah. So there's a lot of background to Jeff. He is 34 at the time when they find him. His friends, of course, paint him as very loving, nice man. But Susan's family is like, that's sure, okay. But also, we got to talk about all the times that Susan had bruises, Susan had black eyes. And, Susan was never allowed to leave her house for an hour longer than 90 minutes at a time. It's just, there's a lot of like, now people are like, but he's a real piece of shit. Like, he's a real abusive piece of shit. The problem is that all of these times when, she's saying that he's been abusive, she's never filed a police report. She's never gone to a hospital. She did say even one time she actually was pregnant again between her oldest son and their daughter, that she had been pregnant in between then, and that he'd kicked her so hard in the stomach that she'd miscarried.
Oh, wow.
And he refused to let her go to the hospital because they didn't have the money to pay for it. So, I mean, who knows how deep the control is? Who knows if these stories are true? What I do know is that this prosecuting attorney was hell-bent on proving that no matter what, she did this.
Out for blood.
Out for blood. Siegler is her name.
I have so much to say about this. I really do.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like I know that name. Is she a famous prosecutor?
Yes. And they made a show about her on...
She's blonde. I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Kelly Siegler. Sorry, go ahead.
So, one, what was her motive then? If she wasn't being abused, did she get a shit ton of? She didn't get life insurance. She didn't get
$200,000.
So what?
Life insurance.
It was like nothing. It was like nothing. Secondly,
this is what Siegler had said too. She's like, it's a $200,000 life insurance policy that she wanted. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, people have killed people. Like people have killed people for less.
But then
it's not completely out of the question. But
also, to stab somebody 8 times, 10 times is overkill. To stab somebody 193 times, I've never seen that in all of the true crime I've ever watched. That I've ever consumed. Like that is an event. That is some sort of break in somebody's psyche. That is so over the top. That's beyond overkill. And then her actions afterward, it's again, like you said, that prosecutor tries to spin it one way, but it definitely also makes sense to me the other way.
Exactly.
So, I'll let you.
So it's why it's so important though to like, and I know domestic abuse is so difficult and so complicated and there's so much, it's so emotionally
isolating.
Fraught. Yeah. But and it's hard to have the presence of mind in the moment to do any number of things, but documenting it somehow, telling someone, like really writing it in your journal, like anything, so that there's some kind of trail that you can point back to if you need to.
Yeah. And I think
because it only ever escalates.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Susan was so naive that she even said, she was like, I thought for sure everybody would believe me when I went to trial and just told them the truth of what happened, that he was this person. And I was so scared of him. So when the police get to the house and they find Jeff's body, all of this, she's actually already in a psychiatric ward. She's been sent. She's had a psychotic break. That's what, her attorneys told them. She's gone to the psychiatric ward. The psychiatrist, who had spoke to her said for sure she was suffering from battered wife syndrome. There was no question that she was suffering from a severe PTSD when she arrived. he had said that
Didn't he say he was like dissociative too?
Dissociative.
Like completely dissociative. Like
yes. Yes. And just absolute, like isn't connected to reality in that moment. So what she had told him at the time is that he'd gone to sleep and then she just lost control and started stabbing him. What later comes out and why they didn't put the psychiatrist on trial in the original trial to support her in this evidence of battered wife syndrome is because her story does change. And which he even says, he's like, yeah, it's very likely that it could change because she came to me in this very dissociated state. She probably wasn't even connecting yet to what had happened. And so the story that she finally told was the story about him, punching their son, that he had forced her to go to bed with him, and that she had fallen asleep, and that he had come into the room with a knife, and all she woke up to was him saying, "Die, bitch." And she says that she kicked him in the groin and was able to get the knife out of his hand because she was able to take control from that point. Because I'm sorry, a groin kick, even if you're a tall guy, is going to disable somebody, I think, even no matter how big they are. So, and she said all she could do is that she just started stabbing him. And she says she doesn't remember much of anything until she hears a knock on the door, and it's her son, Bradley. And she says, I have to go put him back to bed. So she takes a necktie and ties his hands to the railing of their bed and leaves because she's certain that he is going to get up, find the knife. She hides the knife. She's certain he's going to get up, find the knife, and come after her. So she takes the little boy, puts him back to sleep, goes back down to the kitchen because in her head, she's like, he has found that knife. He's going to kill me. So she gets a new knife and goes back upstairs and continues to keep stabbing him. She is so certain that he is going to... It's wild. Her story is he's big, right? So she finds a dolly. She puts him on the dolly and rolls him out into this garden and puts him in the dirt. But she starts cleaning the house manically because in her mind, she's certain he's going to come home or he's going to wake up and be pissed off that the house is so dirty. So she starts to clean and scrub the entire house. She takes the mattress outside because she needs to air it out because it's too messy. It's too filthy for him. She paints over some mess in the walls and she's starting to clean the rugs, but there's certain areas of the rugs that won't come clean. So
but as a prosecuting attorney, this is a prosecuting attorney's dream.
Of course.
They'll just say you're trying to cover up the crime. You knew what you were doing and you're trying to cover up the crime.
Exactly. Yeah. There's really what makes this story, I think, so heartbreaking is it really could be one or the other. You know what I mean? I did reading how she described it and her that fear that she was just so visceral. Out of it. She really expected him to, after stabbing him 193 times. That's how out of it she got. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
I think that too, maybe if I hadn't watched her on the stand, and I think you see people sometimes, and we've talked about this recently on our Shorty episode where we talked about how people react in certain situations.
Yeah.
And there is no clear cut way about how you react in certain situations. But I'll tell you this, she cried real tears on the stand. She was visibly upset and very much to me, not just remorseful, but really scared and fearful.
Yeah, her story doesn't sound implausible to me at all.
No.
It's just a difficult thing because it's so easy to spin it the other direction too.
Yeah.
I mean, and you do see very manipulative people get away with crimes or attempt to get away with crimes by using XYZ kind of like excuse. I'm not saying I don't believe her. I actually do believe her.
And this is, well, here's the only detail, Cass, that really tripped me up. And I don't think that they did the best job in the article of really explaining it, but the candle wax.
Okay. So this is the other thing so Kelly Siegler, like I said, was
who I do recognize. Yeah, she's done a lot of like big profile cases in Texas.
Yes. She's like, this is bullshit. This is obviously made up story so that she could walk off with this $200,000 life insurance policy, and there's no battered bullshit here. So what she was saying is, yes, there was also found on the body wax on like candle wax. What Susan says is that when she puts him onto the dolly, that he knocks into the dresser and the wax, like the candle, falls and pours onto his body. That's what it is. There's nothing more than that. But what Kelly Siegler says is that, no, this is a diabolical plot in which you lured him into the bedroom with your sexy wiling ways. She's like, you were a dancer when you were 18. So you danced at a strip club for 2 months while she was 18 years old.
Doesn't matter if she did it for 2 years. Doesn't matter if she was still doing it. Like, what a weird thing to use.
She's like, so you used your body and your wiles to draw him into the bedroom, tie him up for some dirty sex play. I mean, Susan literally was like, no, ma'am, no way. And like, she literally was like, it almost looked like she's like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, she was like, I could never even fathom doing something like that's so wild, you know? And to the point of that, like, and not to say, listen, if it happened that way, I mean, I guess, but this is also a person that in the interview with Skip Hollandsworth apologized for saying the word crap. So, I mean, she's like, oh, crap. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, this is not the kind of woman who is into, hard BDSM play. Like, it just feels very, but who knows? The candle wax is definitely something that is questionable. It could be from that. It could be from how she describes it. The jury does give her 25 years and concludes that she's guilty. A few years fast forward, they actually decide to go back to court to see if they can't get a better judgment in her case. And it's a big risk, right? Because they could go back to court and they could say, appeal this, but then they might be like, well, actually, we think she deserves life, or we think that she deserves the death penalty, or whatever. It's a risk, right? But they're asking for it to be dramatically decreased and just be put on parole. The attorney that reaches out to her is also a high profile attorney, and I did not write down his name. I think it's Weiss. Yes, Weiss is his last name. He actually, not only does he go to the court, he does this all pro bono for her. And he's like, I saw the trial. He's like, there's no way that she was ever properly given any way to fight this. And she's like, there was no psychiatrist that she had been dealing with. There was no one to claim, no one to explain the, abuse and, what it means to have battered wife syndrome, like what that looks like. And, for a lot of people, they don't understand that, most people look at battered wives and say, oh, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just do that? And it's never as simple as that. And that's something that like a lot of people just don't truly understand. So he was like, it's so important that you have someone who can explain that. So he, during his trial, brought in the psychiatrist Brown to explain, this dissociated state. And then also too, to explain, why her story might have changed from the way that she had originally been able to tell it to him when she was in the facility versus, how she was able to cope with it and then come to terms with what was really happening. He says that, quote, it was as if she was up in the air looking down on herself, talking about things that she was doing. Like she was so disconnected from reality when he was interviewing her. Not only that, but they also bring in a Misty McMichael, which is a former ex of Jeff. She actually has proof of abuse. She had dated Jeff before they had met. And she was able to corroborate that Jeff is an absolute abusive piece of shit. She has actual police reports to prove her story. Misty as well is a dancer. And for some reason, who can believe dancers? I think this is
can't
probably
trust
can't
dancers.
trust a dancer. But she was a proud dancer and she doesn't give a shit. She was like, I don't care what you think of me. This man is garbage. I have the police reports to prove it. He literally threw a glass at my face and shattered it in my face. I have a piece of glass still stuck in my chin. She's like, he was this person. This is exactly the kind of, she's like, I understand exactly what she's talking about. This type of controlling, abusive behavior is 100% on par for the behavior that Jeff presented in our relationship. So, that being said, they did take this. The appellate court, obviously was not going to fight or argue whether she had done it because that had already been determined. But what they were trying to discern at this point was could they reduce her sentence. Overall, she does get her sentence reduced to 20 years instead of 25 years, which is not much of anything. But she was released on parole after 16 years and not able to leave her state. Had a ankle monitor until last year. So as of last year, she is paid her dues and is free. But this story is just, it's.
Yeah. I mean,
wild.
She basically lost her children too because her Jeffrey's parents took over raising her
uncle,
kids.
Her brother. Or his brother.
Oh.
His brother.
I always hate it when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the victim in this case, and that he was the person who was killed, but gosh, that's always so rough because if she's going to lose her kids, they're going to be told certain things about her, which of course they'll believe.
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
of course, because she's really in prison. Yeah, I mean, she was in prison for it. So why wouldn't they believe, what they're probably being told?
Yeah, I have my back and forth. Skip did such a good job of being like, well, I mean, this is a way that a prosecutor could interpret this. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
Very plausible. Until that
X
came, and then I was like, oh, okay, I believe her.
Totally.
And
because I'm with you on that because it's just even us, we absorb a lot of true crime. We tell a lot of true crime stories. It's very easy. And I'm sure if you're a prosecutor, you do this for a living. It's very easy to be skeptical. I mean, you have to be. Your job is to be skeptical of people coming forward with these stories. And hers in particular, without understanding complex PTSD and battered wife syndrome and all of that stuff, if just looking at the facts, where it's just you waited days to call the police, you tied him up, you cleaned the house, all of these things are things that just on their face would appear to be things that you would do with an intentional killing, And so I can very easily see if you are just looking for a win, as a prosecutor, it would be very, very easy to make that case.
Siegler went above and beyond to make her case, though. Yeah. One of the most diabolical things that she did was she brought the fucking bed from the actual bed, not like a bed that looks like the actual bed with blood on it, into the fucking courtroom.
Yeah.
Tied up one of her co-prosecutors onto the bed, straddled him, showing how the knife was held. It was.
I've seen her in other things.
Wild.
Not super likable.
No.
In the things that I have seen her in, she definitely seems like she's in it to win. You know, like sometimes you see people who you're like, oh, you became a prosecutor because you believe in the law and you believe in justice. And she seems like the kind who became a prosecutor because she's good at it and she likes to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just an impression that I get from having seen her on like several different shows that I've seen her on. Who knows what she's really like, but that is definitely the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, not funny side note was that one of the things that was also brought up during the trial was that the dog, their 60-pound dog, that Jeff would kick their dog, occasionally throwing him across the room. And there was this note that Chip had put in that said some courtroom observers would later morbidly joke that he had that had been the reason the dog dug up Jeffrey's body and gnawed off part of his hands. It wanted revenge.
Well,
oof.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen, I have anyways, like all these TikToks. I try to skip past them as quickly as I can of like dogs that have lost their owners or dogs that have like, like grieve for them, you know, it's like terrible. But yeah, they don't go and try to bite their hands off.
No,
so
definitely not.
That dog knew something.
Yeah. Anyway, it is a terrible story. There's a lot to it. There's more information on the depths of the abuse, on the controlling nature, on, you know, her side of the story of, I mean, I only kind of gave you really the top nuggets to tell the story because I don't want to like overly, I mean, we're not here to just tell gory details about everything, but I think that like you do need to know that it was so much more involved than what I was telling you, that like this is years of horrible abuse and sexual violence, you know, that she lived with.
And it's terrible because I feel like any kind of abuse can feel very isolating and there's a lot of shame around it, so that it does keep you from telling anybody. You know, that's part of the insidious nature of abuse, and destigmatizing it in the way that's like letting victims know, like, this is not your fault. Like, please feel comfortable saying something to somebody.
Yeah.
I think is important. And to hammer home that it's not your fault. You should tell somebody, if you can, is an important message, I think, to get out there, because it could save your life, could save your kids' lives, you know. It's important. Yeah,
it's so sad.
It's a good one, Cass. That's so sad. I find domestic violence cases to be, I mean, obviously they're really, really tragic, but it's also it's really some of the most complicated stuff that we talk about because there's so many emotions wrapped up in it. It's, yes, absolutely, you need to tell someone, but I can also see how hard that would be,
right?
In that situation, because there's still love there, and that's the crazy thing about it.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. I think in the shorty where we were talking about these things that trigger extreme grief is one, and love is one, where it's just like it does irrational, weird shit to your brain, and you know, makes you rationalize things that don't make sense, makes you defend the indefensible. Like it's tough.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well, what are you guys watching this week?
I'm not watching anything else, but I'm reading a book. I hesitated on whether or not to even talk about it because it's not, at this point, it's like a sunk cost fallacy with this book, like where I'm like more than halfway through. And it's long as hell. This book is like 500 pages long. So I'm like more than halfway through. So I'm like, we're in it for the long haul. We're getting through it.
Yeah.
But it's Darcy Coates, and she had written a book I really liked before. She wrote Dead of Winter, which was like a slasher horror book. She's a horror author. So when I saw that this one was like, the scariest for me is like claustrophobic horror. So like anything in like an underground cave or like underwater. So this one is underwater. It's like a deep sea shipwreck horror.
Oh.
They're exploring in the deep sea, which is so scary because it's just like, if anything happens down there, you're
done.
You're on a clock. You're going to run out of oxygen or whatever. And so there are elements of it that I am enjoying, but overall, I'm just like, this book could have been much shorter. A lot of it is pretty repetitive, and then it's very slow. It's a slow burn, and there's a lot of, she's a great writer, but there's a lot of like deep sea diving details that I'm just like, I don't need, I'm glad you're thorough.
I trust you.
But
like, sounds good.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need the science really, not this much,
Yeah.
But yes, I would say of her books, I'm still interested in her as a writer. Dead of Winter, really enjoyed. This book is called From Below. Not loving it as much.
I started listening to Amy Poehler's new podcast. It's called Good Hang.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Really good.
Okay.
So her first episode was with Tina Fey,
of course,
which was funny. But then her next episode was with Martin Short, which was hysterical. Aww. So funny. And then the one after that's with Rashida Jones.
Nice.
Which just so good. And it's really lighthearted. It's funny. It's snarky.
I could use that. Yeah.
If you love like Amy Poehler and her sense of humor, you'll love the podcast. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Nice.
I've really enjoyed something light and outside of my normal podcast listening habits tend to be, like Midas
heavier.
touch and, a break from what is going on in the situation right now is definitely much needed. So if you like lighthearted, fun, female podcasts, I definitely recommend Good Hang.
Nice. I have been sick this week, so I've just been watching a lot of junk TV.
Love it.
I've been watching a lot of Hallmark mysteries.
Ooh.
I'm taking
Beautiful.
the Aurora Tea Garden ride because there's like 900 episodes of that. So it's like 90 movies total or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, we're in it to win it.
Yeah. It's kind of
Awesome.
one of those things that I like have on the background and like play games on my phone kind of shit,
Yeah. Well, hey, if you guys have something that we should watch, if you have a terrible date story, if you just want to reach out and say hello, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com, and we love you so much. Cheers.